Nevertheless, there will be no more gloom for those who are in distress. In the past, he humbled the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali. But in the future, he will honor Galilee of the nations by the way of the sea beyond the Jordan. And the people who are walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. You have enlarged the nation and increased their joy. They rejoice before you as people rejoice at the harvest, as warriors rejoice when dividing the plunder. For as in the day of Midian's defeat, you have shattered the yoke that burdens them, the bar across their shoulders, the rod of their oppressor. Every warrior's boot used in battle and every garment rolled in blood will be destined for burning, will be fuel for the fire. For to us a child is born. To us a son is given. And the government will be on his shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace, there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. And the zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. You know, light, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? There are two things I think that we argue about almost the same as politics. And that's lights and sound. Right? So when we were kids, at night, we'd always have a night light that we'd plug in, right? And if you have had or have younger kids, their goal in life is to turn on every single light in the house, all at the same time. Regardless of if they're in the room, they still turn the light on. And so the goal of every dad is to turn it off, right? When we drive in the dark, we use our headlights on the front of our car to see. And then there's all types of colors of lights. There's green lights. There's blue-ish lights. There's red lights. There's a whole variety, a gamut of lights that we can see throughout the day. And the interesting thing about light, when you look at light, is it always shines in the darkness. It doesn't matter what color it is, the light always defeats the dark. And so when I was looking at light this week, I came to a conclusion. The theme of Christmas is light. The theme of Christmas is light. Because without the light of the world would stay in darkness. But in Isaiah chapter 9, it tells us, for us a child is born, for unto us a son is given, the government will be on his shoulders. They even said something along the lines of they have seen even a great light. Have you seen a great light before? Something so bright that you just can't even figure out what it is? A great light. And so today we're looking at the movie called The Polar Express. And some of you I know have done your job assignments, your homework assignments. Thank you very much for doing that. I love the Polar Express. We've watched it more times than I can even talk about just in the past month. And the Polar Express is about a young boy who had lost his faith in Santa Claus. Couldn't figure out how in the world Santa could do all of these things, how he couldn't, how he could live in the North Pole where it's inhabitable, how he could travel around the world in one night delivering all of these Christmas presents. And so he just no longer believed in Santa Claus. And so it was Christmas Eve, and the boy went to sleep, and all of a sudden he heard a big train sound, rah, rah, this big noise from outside of his house. And he looked out there, and it was a train, and the train is called the Polar Express. And none other than the train conductor, Tom Hanks, comes out and offers the boy a ride on the train. He could have said no, right? The boy could have said, I still don't believe in this thing. I'm not going to get on. And he almost did. And he almost said no. And Tom Hanks said, all right, well, let's go, toot, toot. And then the train goes away. And then he jumps on and gets on the train. And then there was another boy who had the same thing happen, the same problem happened. And then the boy before him saved him. They're traveling to the North Pole to see Santa Claus. And all along the way, there are different things that happen, different coincidences that happen. And so finally, they make it to the North Pole. They eat amazing hot chocolate. The only rule was you never let it cool. You always got to eat hot chocolate hot, right? That's the point. It's the first word in the name, right? Hot chocolate. It's not cold. They get to the end. They see Santa Claus, and they ring the bells. And at the end, when they ring the Santa bells, the little boy, he couldn't hear it at first because he still didn't believe in Santa Claus. And so he sits there and he's just holding his hands, and he goes, I believe in Santa. I believe in Santa. Until finally the point came where he could hear the bells ringing and the reindeer bells ringing. And he finally, after a long trade ride through unimaginable circumstances, he threw all of this experience together, finally at the end, and he something that we don't yet know. Remember the verse in verse 2, Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 2. It says that the people walking in darkness, they've seen a great light. It's a hope that we're all clinging to, believing that even in the midst of great evil, even in the midst of despair, there is a light that has broken through and will only continue to win against darkness. Remember how we talked about at the beginning, how light dispels darkness. Well, if you have a small light, it only dispels a little bit, right? But if we have a great light, it dispels a whole lot, right? Now imagine 6.2, I don't even know how many people are in the world. Imagine all of the people in the world having a great light inside of them shining on a dark world. How great would that light be? It would be amazing, and the darkness would be defeated, and the enemies would fall, and all of the stuff, all of their weapons would be burned, like he said. It would be taken away. The beauty of this passage is that what begins as a picture of victory, it then shrinks into something seemingly small. Remember how it says that the world had seen a great light? And then they said, for unto us a child is born. A child? You're telling me that a child is a great light. A son is given, right? Where is this great light? For the longest time, people, they didn't even understand who Jesus was. He was walking amongst them. He was performing miracles. He was, even at an older age, was doing all of these things. And the people still couldn't understand that he was the light of the world. And then we say that this child, he's going to uphold the government, that he's going to have it on his shoulders. It's such an unimaginable thing to think about, isn't it? How in the world can that happen? You know, one of the greatest cultural changes for us today is that we live in a world where there's no such thing as being supernatural anymore. We have gone so far in our experiential things in life that nothing seems supernatural anymore. We've heightened everything to the point where nothing is supernatural, nothing is experiential, nothing brings that re-enchantment factor. We've done it all, right? So this passage reminds us of that re-enchantment factor. It reminds us that the Word became flesh. It reminds us again of not reincarnation. That's different. Let's focus on incarnation, okay? Incarnation. There's a man by the name of Raymond Ortlund, and he says, look at Jesus. He says, look at Jesus as the wonderful counselor. He has the best ideas and strategies, doesn't he? We sit around as elders for hours. What's the best strategy? He's got them all. Best ideas and strategies. Let's follow him. As the mighty God, he defeats his enemies easily. Who wouldn't want their enemies defeated? Who wouldn't want the demons inside of them being defeated? Who wouldn't want the world that's just in mass chaos right now be defeated? We have him. We have the solution to the problem. We have the mighty God as the everlasting Father. He loves us endlessly. Did you know that you can make mistakes and that's okay? Because we have an everlasting Father. I always tell my kids this. There is nothing that you do in this world that will ever make me love you any less. We have an everlasting Father that does that for us. And he is the Prince of Peace. He reconciles us while we are still his enemies. And he says, let's welcome his dominion. So while the Polar Express, while it re-enchants the world, and it points and hints towards a deeper meaning to the holiday, it doesn't acknowledge the real power behind the magic. Not one time in this whole entire movie does it tell you where the magic comes from, the re-enchantment factor. It never mentions it at all. At one point, a character comments about getting on the train. In fact, it's the last quote in the movie. And here's what he says. He says, there's one thing about trains. It doesn't matter where they're going. What matters is deciding to get on. But it does matter which train we climb aboard, right? Which dream we adore, and what we choose to believe in. It does matter what train we get on. You see, right now in this world, people are searching for light. They're searching for some re-enchantment, for some wonder. And you know what? If a bunch of Christmas lights hanging from the ceiling, if that works, I'm all about it. If that re-enchants you, then I love it. If a green Christmas tree, kind of looks moldy to me, but I like it. It's kind of cool. If a green Christmas tree re-enchants you about the reason why we're here, I'm all about it. If we want to share in whatever wondrous thing that you feel, I want to know about it, because I want to give other people that wonder, that re-enchantment, that way that people are trying to figure out, who is Jesus Christ? Why do we come and worship together? What is the point of all of this? And I'm willing to do whatever it takes, short of sin, to do that for people. You know, I've heard this quote a lot, and it's about re-enchantment. It says, the world, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. It's a great quote, and I love it. They don't care how much you know until you know how much you care. And when we're talking about sharing the light with others, this winter, this upcoming December, we're doing two things in our church that are going to help that, because I've seen it happen and it's amazing. One is the Christmas baskets. We're going to be giving food to people for free just because we love them and we love Jesus. It's an awe factor. It's a re-enchantment in their life. The other thing that we could do that we've kind of re-implemented and we're going to talk about here in just a little bit is this idea called the faith promise. Now, I didn't understand the faith promise very much, and so I had one of our elders come and talk to me about what it is. I just asked, I asked the dumb question, what is it? What's faith promise? Well, faith promise is basically what you do is you give above and beyond your tithe to our outreach, to our missions team, who then they utilize that to give to a particular mission that we support, that we're going to give to. And we have a couple that we currently support, but the thing is, what we want to do is we want to give more. We want to expand our missions. We want to create more re-enchantment with this idea of faith promise. So what you're doing is you're putting faith in God to give this extra amount of money, and you're promising that you're going to give it, and you're going to rely on God to bridge the gap, to fill the gap in on the extra amount that you're going to be giving. I love the idea. It's a great idea. We're going to be talking about it here in a little bit. But it's an opportunity to give back in mysterious ways and to share faith in an extraordinary fashion. It's an opportunity to step out in faith and to give to those in need. So I want to ask you a question this morning. First off is, what train are you riding on? What train are you riding on? And the second one is this: where is it going? Where is it going? Is it a train that goes to nowhere? Or is it a train that has a purpose? If you're going on a train that doesn't have a purpose, I want to encourage you this morning to jump off it. Doesn't matter how fast it's going, just jump off. It's better, I promise. You're not going to break anything, okay? It's a pretend train. All right? Jump off the train and jump on the train that leads to Jesus, the light of the world, the great light of the world. So this morning, Mr. Nation, could I have you come up, please? Rob, could I have you stand in the back over there? If you want to make a decision this morning, if you have a prayer request that you'd like to pray with one of our elders, Dave's going to be up here in the front, and he'd be more than willing to pray with you this morning. And Rob's going to be back in the corner, and he can pray with you as well. Very knowledgeable men. They know their stuff. Guys at home, if you're struggling with what train you're on, I want to encourage you to jump off the train. I want to encourage you to share with one another. Write in the comments below. Text me. I got my phone somewhere. I'll hear it. Siri will probably talk to me. It'd be kind of cool. And I'll pray with you. There's no time like right now to jump off the train. So let's pray this morning. Father, as we come to you, as we adore you for who you are. I thank you that you sent the light of the world to a dark place. And I pray, Father, that we can use the light of the world to get rid of the darkness, that we can share the light with people. I pray this morning, Father, that if something has stirred in the hearts of someone, that they will take that step of faith to come and pray and talk to somebody about what's going on. I pray, Father, that we can continue to stir the hearts of many people and do whatever it takes to share the wonder and awe that you have. It's in your most amazing name that we pray.